Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our webinar. Let's do a quick sound check. Could somebody raise their hand for me, and we'll get going. Sweet. Lots of hands. Awesome. Make sure. Okay, good. Sometimes with these things, people stay in the lobby as they join late, but it looks like they're just getting auto admitted, which is awesome. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to our webinar on competitive intelligence that drives teaming and win strategy. A little bit of background before we get going to kind of set expectations and give you guys a little bit of context about this is Alessia and I started the Win More BD AI platform last year. We've been working on it since last March. And really because we recognized a gap in the market that people wanted the promises of AI and they wanted the productivity gains and they wanted the wins, but they weren't really getting it with the current solutions that were on the market. So our theory that set us on this path is that, well, if we used all of OST's intellectual property, all of our training, all of our courses, all of our know-how, and built that into an AI system that then could help deliver wins and actually improve win strategy, would that fill the market? And everything we've seen so far is saying that yes, it is. So what we've decided to do on this webinar is do a little bit of teaching through some of our coursework that we present as part of corporate trainings and public classes through OST Global Solutions, and also teach a little bit through the AI system that we've built. So my name is David Huff. I'm the CEO of Win More BD. Prior to this, I was the CEO of OST Global Solutions. I'm joined today by Alessia Smitrova, who founded OST Global Solutions and was the CEO from 2005 all the way to 2023-ish when I took over. So we're going to tag team this webinar together and yeah, and hopefully you guys get a lot of value out of this. And awesome. So let's dive into it. So a little bit about Win More BD is we have built this system and we've trained our AI on the processes that we've used to win $28 billion in funded contracts and over $500 billion in ceiling values. We have built an opinionated system. So a lot of people have been asking us, hey, can you modify the process? Can you change this? Can you change that? What we tell them is that we are delivering outputs. Like these are the things that we've used to be successful, and I'll show you why, and I think you guys will get an idea about that. We're also automating the hardest part of winning contracts. So there's all of this stuff out there. There's the data aggregators and the intelligence platforms, the GovWinIQs, the Bloombergs. You know, there's a million of them. There are a bajillion proposal tools. There's obviously the base LLMs that you can use. The hardest part, and the reason nobody's built it, is because capture is difficult. It's loosely defined. Everybody kind of sort of does it differently. What we have realized is that you really only need to do a few things and focus on those few things and do those actually 6 things really well. And then you have measurable increases and consistently generate win after win. We've trained our AI to think like top business developers to win more, and we have built a living strategy engine. So strategy time reduction 75%, we're doubling win probability, and we're lowering cost by 50%. So these are our brand promises to you. I'll show you how part of it works because capture is a very long and complicated process. So we're going to dive in on competitive intelligence and teaming. And we have a really cool example opportunity to show you about halfway through that I think you guys will get a lot out of. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Alessia to talk through the competitive analysis and intelligence overview.
Absolutely. All right. So let's talk about it. I mean, we have been historically David.com from a teaching organization. So I really want to make sure that you get a lot of value out of this webinar, whether you want to check out Win More BD or not. I want you to spend your time in a productive manner. So this is a portion where I'm going to talk to you about the importance of competitive analysis, whether you do this right now or not, or to what extent you do this. Right? It's first and foremost, I want to show you that a lot of companies do not do competitive analysis as much as they should, or as deeply as they should, or as often as they should, right? And there are many reasons for that. It is an infrequent practice. Everybody knows you should do it, la-di-da. But when the real life happens, a lot of it does not take place, or it only takes place for really important opportunities. So a lot of times it's not done because a lot of companies, and I don't know if you recognize yourself in that, start late on pursuits. So you either learned about the opportunity late, or you just were busy with other things and you had too many fish to fry. But now you're starting on a pursuit. It looks really good. You're just late. And skipping or delaying capture and running out of time is common. But consider that successful companies spend 60% of their bid and proposal budget on capture. 60%. So that's the majority of the time. And this is like a runner skipping critical warm-up exercises and expecting to win the race. You may win some races, but when it comes to serious ones like Olympics, you won't, right? Because there's going to be others who are better than you, and they're more diligent and more disciplined. So then there's the reluctance to spend money on competitive analysis. Hesitating to invest in competitive analysis, right, is due to cost, is actually short-sighted. Now, our system is making it easier because it is lowering the cost of competitive analysis in a significant way. But consider what it costs your company to lose more bids that could be won with better insights. And use competitive analysis only on those bids you want to win. And hopefully you want to win all of them. Otherwise, you wouldn't be bidding on them. Next bullet. All right. So assuming there's nothing new to learn about your competition, right? So some companies that we've consulted for, and Dave and I come with decades of consulting behind our backs, is companies would say, well, we know our competition. There's nothing else to do. We bid against them all the time. I will tell you, it's like getting complacent about a relationship in your life and then being unpleasantly surprised. I don't know if anybody can personally relate to that. Taking someone or something for granted often is a symptom of a problem and a recipe for a heartbreak. Failing to get the right tools, right? So what I tell people is, look, doing competitive analysis by hand, and Dave's going to show you some insight into that. And we're going to talk about some of the manual parts of it that you can continue to be doing versus tools. There's lots of them, right? There's lots to do. But I will tell you something, not having subscriptions, not having AI, it's like being a hairstylist. It's a celebrity beauty salon, but all you get for tools is cheap and dull scissors and a weak blow dryer, right? Being expected to make $1,000 per haircut by the salon owner. You're trying to win multi-million-dollar bids. Hello? Use professional tools to do your job and then get professional results. Also, not seeking help from experts. This is comparable to facing a complicated medical condition without consulting a specialist or seeking a second opinion. Engage consultants or experts when necessary. And I will tell you something, when you work with Winmore BD at this early stage, and we are the newcomer on the market, you're going to get the concierge level of attention, and you're going to be working with people like me and Dave to get advanced in the field. All right, what happens if there's no competitive analysis and price to win? More of the horror stories, right? A lot of the times when you don't do competitive analysis, I mean, you may win. But you do your best without considering your competitors. I'll tell you, it's silly. Going back to my analogies, right? It's like training for a Muay Thai match with a punching bag only, not against the real competitors, right? So everybody in football, for example, what do? They watch film. They watch film of their competitors. If you don't watch film, then you're not going to be as good of a player. Just swag is salary and put rap rates on it. Swag is sophisticated, wild. Yes, right? And put wrap rates on it and hope no one else competes. Well, that is a risky proposition. You probably have lost a lot of bids on price. Also, accepted targets from primes. You've been a subcontractor, you know how painful it is, and then try to manage profitability when you're being squeezed. You actually may suffer in performance, not retain your beautiful, brilliant people. And again, it's hard to do any BD or capture when you have no profit that you make on those projects or no good rates that you can wrap into it. Solution may be developed late, jeopardizing your win probability. Costing efforts, so wait till you solidify the solution and you write a mediocre cost proposal at the last minute. Now, let me tell you something here is you have to do your solutioning early. Trying to recycle your old proposals, even with AI, which is a lot of solutions out in the market, is a losing proposition. You want to brainstorm, and cost and price is part of the solution. Your competitive analysis is part of the solution. So all of that kind of weighs into that very heavily. Your P-win goes up when you do that. You cannot set effective and conscious pricing strategies. Speaking of that, if you don't actually do capture, a lot of that stuff is decided at the end, at least at the very end. With a lot of companies, we see pricing volume as the last thing that gets done, versus developing together with a proposal in conjunction with your overall offering. Also, you may not document your costing assumption properly and strategically to ghost your competition through the BOEs, work breakdown structure, bill of materials, and to excel in the audits later, right? You may be in a price shootouts that are pure, simple bids, but you may be bidding something that's complex. And then your costing assumptions, they are a big component in ghosting your competition and winning the bids, and also in documenting all kinds of things. Fail to write a non-boilerplate narrative in the cost volume that goes competition without convincing supporting documents that prove you're right. A lot of it is done on the basis of the competitive analysis. And then makes mistakes in your pricing because it doesn't go through an iterative process and multiple SME and management proposal reviews. So management reviews, a lot of the times you want to go and have time to put that through the cycles. You know what? You have to start early in order to do that. And that competitive analysis is one of the precursors to that process. Next slide. So let's talk about competitive analysis. So competitive analysis actually falls into two categories. One of them is strategic competitive intelligence, called CI. That is an analysis of the entire competitive field. Where do you play? Who are the other players? So it's part of your market analysis, and examples would be, are your rates competitive? How do you benchmark against your competitors? So all of these are kind of big things. Where do you stand? How do they grow, for example? Are you getting the same types of certifications? Are you making the similar types of strategic moves? Are you hiring similar people? Why are they retaining their customers and you don't? Right? So a lot of questions could be answered through that strategic competitive intelligence. Now, then you have tactical competitive intelligence, and that is your opportunity-specific analysis. That's your typical competitive analysis done during capture. And you have many different types. A lot of people don't really think about it beyond the SWOT, like strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats kind of chart, or any kind of just identifying of the competitors and just kind of keeping them on the slide. But there's a lot to it, right? So win-loss analysis is relevant to the target pursuit. Who's bid, who's won, who's lost. At the very least, if you don't have the intelligence of how many bids were submitted to the last bid, right? SWOT analysis to identify strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So that is your kind of classical competitive analysis that a lot of people know about. Blind spot analysis is to analyze previous strategies that are likely to be reused. People make mistakes over and over and over again, same mistakes. They're sometimes obvious looking from the outside in. That's what competitive analysis does. Alliance analysis to determine competitors' teaming. Dave is going to actually illustrate to you how that's done today. That is because people are tribal in nature, right? We like to bid with the same teams over and over and over again, and seeing who likes to play with certain companies or has joint ventures or any kind of CTAs or anything that kind of is set up for longer periods of bidding together really points at a relationship that may persist into other pursuits. Those are very, very important. Strategy hypotheses. Those are the kinds of hypotheses that you do with a black hat. Black hat is a specific type of competitive analysis session where you're doing wargaming to pressure test your plans against competitors' responses. You emulate your competitors and you figure out what to do. And then you have the price to win analysis, which is intimately connected to competitive intelligence and is an integral part of it, trying to figure out what are your competitors are likely to bid as their price so that you can come in just below them, but provide a higher amount of value. Next slide, please. So on the roadmap, what we're doing right now is developing a knowledge base for CI information. As part of WinMore BD, we're putting together a library of your company data. And there's a lot in that library that's going to benefit you. But one of the components is a knowledge base for your competitive intelligence collected over time. It's going to make you much more effective, understand the market better, understand your competitors better over time, collect a lot of information on them, and get a lot smarter. So capture your analysis results and relevant source data. Source data is really important part of the making sure that WinMore BD is accurate, because AI is probabilistic, right? It hallucinates sometimes and it gives you probabilities, but not necessarily the right answer always. We're trying to make our platform, and we're building it in a way to make it more deterministic. Part of it is verification. So just with any intelligence, you have to have source data. With any competitive intelligence, you better get the source data, because if you're really good at it, you may have to prove that you didn't obtain that data in nefarious ways. So like if this ever gets subpoenaed, for example, you can show that you got it from public sources, or this is open source intelligence. So OSINT, right? So that's where it's really, really important that your database has that component. Another element of the competitive intelligence database is collect all of your debriefs and lessons learned in the database. That's part of our company library. It's correlated to every pursuit. It's easily traceable, but it's also there in a way that you can actually see trends and specifically the kinds of things that can be improved across all the pursuits. Also, focus on your competitors' strategies, not rates, because the rates do change. And that's what is reflected in your CI database. It has to make conclusions for you, and AI makes it a lot easier. So it's not a manual process. AI will collect those conclusions, aggregate, do the analysis, offer it up for you so you don't spend time on reading a lot of materials. And also it always documents the sources for the sensitive information to be there, to be cited with snapshots, because sources disappear, web pages disappear, links go dead. So that library actually has a collection of those sources stored. So that's on the roadmap. That's not there now. However, we are actively working on that as we have the backbone for that already set up.
Yeah, and this is one of these processes where the best government contractors do it, but they do it manually. So there's a company
Well,
we know that
some big ones do have databases, but you have to be like Northrop Grumman to have things like that. They do it particularly well, for example.
Yeah, and they have to get people certified to be able to add to the database because it's so important to document where the sources came from and what the conclusions are. Everybody can look at it inside the company if you have permission, but to add to it is the really hard part. And This is one of those things about building your institutional knowledge base that becomes super, super, super important the bigger you get. So as people come and go and you have turnover in the BD shop, you want to capture those key lessons and those key insights and share them across your bids and not walk out the door when one of your BD people, one of your capture people go somewhere else, or you fire them, or they get promoted and now they're all of a sudden not working on that account with those customers. You've lost all of that data and all of that capability. Our system collects it all and draws conclusions across uh, organizations and across customers to provide that input during the capture and during the proposal phase.
All right, so AI automation. AI automation is here, right? So, and as Dave was mentioning, we are not yet realizing all the benefits that have been promised with AI. We're just beginning to. We're just at the start. And when we're really talking about what AI does for us, it actually, and when more BD, what we're institutionalizing is your pathway to winning consistently. And it's making it easier, it's making it less expensive than doing a lot of things manually. It's automating a lot of capture. So the best practice with capture is to start early, right? So you want to start early. You start out with the win themes, win strategy session as your first step. A lot of the times after you've gated that opportunity and you said, okay, can we win? How can we win? What are the customer pain points? How do we offer in accordance with those customer pain points? And our solution has that component. And that is, by the way, a precursor to competitive analysis, because you have to know what the customer prefers so that you can see where competitors really rack and stack. Another one is document your findings in the CI knowledge base. Like we talked about, the system has to automatically do it because everybody hates documentation and data entry. Tell me if you don't. I mean, anybody here really? So,
Zero hands.
all right. Continue analysis is continue collecting competitive information throughout the capture process, refining the results of your black hat and price to win. So people a lot of times will run a black hat session or run a competitive analysis or create a SWOT table, but none of it gets updated. Why? Because you check the list, right? You've done it. You've been a good capture manager. You've done your competitive analysis. You run a black hat. You may have spent money on that black hat or consultants or outsourced that to someone. And now what, right? But nobody is static. Your competition is not static. So you have to have a system that's self-updating. Also, recognize changes when the changes impact your win strategy. Again, it's a dynamic process. Nobody wants to redo things over and over again, but you have to. And that's why the capture process is so expensive. That's why you need a system that actually helps you do that. And the other one is accept limited data. As a human being, it's very hard for you to look at something and pull the mosaic together and say, okay, here's this is a missing piece, but I'm going to infer what goes in that blank. I'm going to draw those connections. I'm going to analyze my disparate pieces of data and have working hypotheses. Then I'm going to painstakingly confirm. Right. And I have a direction for my confirmation. So I'm not flailing about and I'm actually going about confirming those theories. So you want to continue collecting despite being initially discouraged by incomplete or imperfect information. And then the quantity transforms into quality over time. Again, having a system that forces you to do that and does a lot of that for you and does a lot of the analysis, which is AI is superb at, is really incredibly important. Next slide. So here's some steps of competitor identification. And I'm going to walk through this with you, and then I'm going to turn it over to Dave to actually show you some of that. So the steps of competitor identification right now fall into what can be AI automated and what we are automating with One More BD and our immediate roadmap, and what is human led with AI assistance, right? So eventually we're going to help you a lot more with these steps, but inherently there are things that are kind of part of the process. And we're going to start with what do you need to do first? First, with any competitive analysis, you identify companies that are winning similar work at your target agency, right? You may know who is there, and you will need to, as a human, validate with AI assistance whether identified companies will actually bid on this opportunity. Majority of that is your human activity. However, if you just trying to kind of be somebody who is plugged into the vine and into the rumor mill and actually figure out who is bidding on that, you must be literally in your field, embedded at the agency and listening and talking to everybody and have a lot of sensors to determine that. Some of you do, and kudos to you, but a lot of companies, when you actually have a lot of things in the pipeline, you will not know everyone and every single opportunity. So you have to do that analysis when MoreBD automates identification. Ranking competitors by award volume with the customer. Who is the most prolific winner at that agency? You assume that they actually have a lot of relationships at that agency. So are you able to emplace them somehow? Are you able to counteract them somehow? So a human has to gauge the actual relationship strength with the contracting officer and program office. Again, AI can't do that. It can assume a lot of things and give you a really good working theory as to help. You can see who you need to confirm it with, right? So you can do a lot of analysis and give you a lot of data, but then you as a human have to go and verify that. That's why I'm telling you, look, there's our profession is still going to persist even as AI develops, just because of the human relationship component. You just have to get better at that part. Surface incumbent contractors and their award history. That is where you determine incumbents' likelihood of rebid versus walk away. You look at their award history to see whether they're qualified to bid, who won the last time, who were the incumbents, maybe on multiple opportunities that are being bundled. So our system is working on surfacing that right now. So we're implementing that feature as we speak. Map predecessor contracts to potential follow-on vehicles. So that's another AI automation kind of thing that's incredibly useful. It takes a lot of time, but as a human, you can also see what the rumor mill says and predict which vehicle the procurement will migrate to. That's dependent on your conversations with the contracting officer and anybody else around that opportunity. Also, identifying companies on the relevant indefinite delivery vehicle with active task orders. You will need to determine which vehicle holders are actively pursuing as a human. However, AI can go ahead and do the analysis of the data. So identifying subcontractor relationships. That alliance analysis of subcontractor relationships are not always visible through data, but if that data is out there, you better have it at your fingertips. What you can do as a human is there are teaming arrangements that may be invisible, really hard to arrive at data. You'd be surprised though what you can do, and Dave's going to show you a technique that a lot of people haven't used that we're automating in our platform. But again, you know, if you wanted to invest more hours into that, you can do manually as well. Match competitor capabilities to SAB requirements via past performance. This is something that AI does beautifully. As a human, what you do is you assess true competitor depth via human intelligence. Your people on site can probably tell you how well somebody is doing and how competent they are, and is the customer happy with their people. Identifying mentor-protege relationships. That is something that AI can do if it's an SBA mentor protege. Then you may have to do through your human intelligence is determining which JVs are pursuing the specific opportunity if you're plugged into the rumor mill. And then flag companies doing identical work at similar agencies. Similar agencies are not exactly the same agency, but what AI deems as similar and tell you, hey, you know, this is the likely company to come into this that you may not be looking at if you're just staying at the same agency level. And then as a human, you can then have time to go ahead and confirm whether adjacent agency players will cross over to compete, because now you know who may be the likely candidate. All right, over to you, Dave.
Awesome. Thank you, Leslie. So with that build up, I'm going to show you guys an example opportunity that I pulled. I picked it because it's really niche and also would be difficult to traditionally do competitive analysis on because the opportunity is a source of SWOT. And that information, that interested bidders list, and there is no incumbent because this is brand new work that was marketed last year. There's not a lot of data out there. So this is a great opportunity to kind of examine and show what can we do to automate. And also I'm going to walk you guys through the manual process in case you like to do things manually and you got that kind of time. So our example opportunity is industrial hygiene services at the Mississippi National Guard facilities. So pretty unique, pretty niche, right? So what this is a screen from our platform that you just enter in the opportunity identification or the opportunity information into, and automatically, oh, hold on, I'm sorry. We go to the documents page, and then we pull in the 3 documents we have. So we have our sam.gov link. So I actually posted the link here. And then there are 2 forms, 2 pieces of information, the source of SWOT and the contractor information form. And I was like, well, I don't want to read that. So just by uploading the documents, our bid assistant analyzed the document and told me what it's about. It's a source of SWOT notice. And here are the major tasks that we need to do. And the thing that's most important for me is that AR 385-10 Army Safety Program Standards. Being an Army veteran, an infantry guy, safety is very important, and the Army takes that very, very seriously. So for me, my next action, as soon as I saw that, would be I need to go find that document, that safety form, or that Army regulation, and pull it into the system. I didn't do that, but this is the source of SWOT. So very, very niche work. And then what it did is it actually took this really complicated table that they provided in the source of SWOT notice, and our bid assistant summarized it for me. And now I have a much better idea of what each of these facilities are and what they do. So it comes and it says, hey, these are the various facility types, saving me a lot of time. It's helping me wrap my brain around exactly what this bid is and exactly what the opportunity is, because at this level, when I'm deciding whether or not I want to bid or not, I need to make a bid, no bid decision, or say, hey, I'm interested and I want to move further into the process and want to actually spend resources with this. So now I know where the facilities are, and this is statewide, and what kinds of facilities they are. And then lastly, it told me the key personnel requirements and also the bid details. So for me, looking at this source of SWOT, it's like, okay, well, hey, I maybe have 10, 15 people that work for me if I'm looking and I'm interested on this that have these minimum criteria. So that'll be things that I need to put into our source of SWOT response. And this is small business standard, so on and so forth. And also it tells me that I don't have to bid on everything. So if I can only do half of the facilities, great. Bid assistant told me that you don't have to do a complete capability. So very helpful to be able to put in our documents here, and our bid assistant, being trained on OST's processes and methodologies, knows what's important and what isn't, to give really helpful summaries so we don't have to wade through pages and pages and pages of documents. And also this is without prompting too. So you don't even have to know what to do. You don't have to ask it. It tells you. So then,
and it shows you sources there in the bottom as well.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. So like we were talking about earlier, documenting your sources of where you come, like where that data comes from, is really important for our competitive intelligence database. It's important for humans to understand that our system pulled from the right documents, and what did it pull from. Like what were the actual things? And in the system, you can't do it here because this is just a screenshot, but you can click on this first thing here and it will show you the text where it pulled things from. And that's a quick way for us to understand, you know, is it accurate? Did it make something up? Like, are we in the ballpark? It gives us confidence. So then I was like, well, okay, well, I know what to do next because I've been doing black hats and price to win for 13 years. Um, and so I know what to do, but I asked our bid assistant, hey, what are the next steps I should do in order to maybe start thinking about forming a team? And this is one of the things that we didn't really go into is that you always do your competitive analysis before you do your teaming. And one of the things that is going to be really important later on is you guys have all probably been on bids where a subcontractor or a potential partner comes to you and claims to do a certain kind of past performance, but it's not really the kind of past performance you need, right? And you don't figure that out until it comes time to write about industrial hygiene, and they're like, oh, we don't do that kind of environmental consulting. We do this other kind over here. And it's like, as the prime or as the capture manager or the BD person, you're like, well, that's not what you said 3 months ago, right? When you were coming on the team. So this also helps you do a lot of due diligence very quickly. Just, hey, is it actually relevant to our contract? Is it actually relevant to their scope of work? So for us, our bid assistant went into our process and our thousands of hours of training data and our transcripts and our examples that we've used. And it says, okay, well, hey, this is how you would go and do this work. You go to USA Spending or FPDS, you search for Mississippi National Guard or the broader National Guard Bureau, you filter by keywords, you look for NAICS codes. It actually provided the 2 specific NAICS codes there, our bid assistant did. So it pulled from our corporate database and our global knowledge database to suggest other NAICS codes for you. And then focus on contracts in the past 3 to 5 years that are relevant. So now, okay, well, we can go do this. We know how to do this. We can go to USA Spending, but we're kind of on this fishing expedition, right? Maybe we'll find something, maybe we won't. So the next part of the process, well, which companies are winning repeatedly? And Alessia went over a bunch of this stuff, and you want to pay attention to the contract values and the durations to understand the scale. Was it some sort of set aside? We want to review SAM.gov for active contractors once we find them. And maybe we want to look at other National Guard units in different states and check if there are existing IDIQs that are available. Okay, so we can go do this work. This would take, when I finish this analysis I'm about to go through, I was like, this would take me probably 3 to 4 hours to do by hand, because I would start with some searches and maybe go down some rabbit holes and left and right and maybe not even ever get there. So what our system does is it actually pulls the top competitors in based on the sources sought and based on the information we provided it. And then it ranks them by who has the most awards. So in our example company, we have ATI-Indina Joint Venture LLC. They have by far the most awards out of anybody. So they're over 13 million. The next closest is 4.8. And if ATI or Indina is on the call, this is completely random. I'm not picking on you guys. It was just a random opportunity that we found. And I just select, so just happenstance, right? So let's dive into that. So we can click on this here and it will show us all of the this joint ventures awards, and it rolls up into that 14 million roughly, brings in their contract numbers, and very helpful for us to understand, okay, well, they have a lot of different contracts. It's not just one contract. There's lots of them, right? So that's good for us. We're probably on the right track. And there's a lot of other data that we pull into our system that's queryable that we are on our immediate roadmap to provide additional information for these things. So there's a lot of cool things that we've pulled in, just haven't displayed yet on the screen. So this is where the automation ended for our example, but and this is also something that is currently being built right now. We're rolling it out in the next sprint. and being able to go to sam.gov and find the actual joint venture. Because, hey, that's great. We have this joint venture information. Now let's start looking at the key pieces of data that we need in order to dive deeper and verify if this company is an actual competitor or if they're a potential teammate even. So a couple things here is we have the joint venture name. Obviously, we need that. Now we also have the UEI, the unique entity identifier, and we have their physical mailing address. And this is important with joint ventures because the physical mailing address is oftentimes the lead JV partner. So, this is almost 100% an unpopulated joint venture. So now we can start figuring out, okay, well, what company is at that address? So I continue on and I find in the point of contact, again with the address, and I go and search that. And I find ATI Inc., which is the lead member of this joint venture. Okay, so this is something that we are currently building right now to automate this portion for you. So you don't have to do this manual work, but even doing it manually, this took me 40 minutes total, including making these screens too. It wasn't even like to do this analysis, maybe took me 20 minutes. It was 40 to put them all together into format. So now we're going to go.
So with AI, you have no time spent on that whatsoever.
Yeah. And I didn't go down any weird rabbit holes and go down any false negatives, I guess.
Yeah, and let me point out too, another thing is the reason why David didn't do that is because he knew some things that some capture managers don't know. Like you may have capture manager on staff and they actually know that, hey, in a joint venture, you generally will have an address of the lead member of the joint venture whose status is being listed as the prime and the name of that principal that then you can go into LinkedIn and verify. And then you can also go in a database and actually compare that to the addresses. And now you can deduce which company, because a lot of hidden joint ventures out there, right? So you don't know who it is, what company it is, and you need to do some of that fact finding. And the reason why David was able to do it so quickly is because he does this all the time. But how many of you have capture managers on staff who don't do it all the time or haven't been trained to do so? So a lot of that is like standard AMO that we're building into the AI that may not be standard modus operandi for everybody else.
Yeah. So Brian asked a question. I'm going to come back to that question here in a second, Brian, because I think I'll answer some of it through the screens here. So ATI is the lead joint venture member. So they have a great website. I went there. I clicked on the About Us page right there, and then looked at their capability statement. And they just so happen to post their industrial hygiene capability statement on their website. Many businesses do. For marketing purposes, either to the government or to partners. It's a double-edged sword because now it's out for competitors as well. Because now I can see it. I can see all of the past performance they have. I just grabbed in the screenshot of part of it, right? The major part of it. And what's interesting is that the biggest contract that they have is this Washington headquarters service, and that's part of DoD, larger DoD, right? So some really good past performance in here, but also just verifying, hey, I am in the right
that's
company.
the NSA, I think.
Is it the NSA? Okay. And also on their website, I found the joint venture partners. So this is a screenshot from their website, and we have Indina, which is the second member of the joint venture that we were looking for. And I found all of this in 10 minutes on the website, less than 10 minutes on the website. Because I knew
now
where to
you
look.
have the past performance for both, because both of their past performance counts. And if you only looked at the past performance of joint venture, you would have not known what to counteract. So now you have the two members. You need those two members in order for you to go ahead and research their true capabilities and true past performance.
Yep. So clicked on their website. It was very helpfully linked right there. I went to Indina's website, scrolled down a little bit, found their corporate capabilities. I see the industrial hygiene assessments, the OSHA and NIOSH compliance audits, the job hazard analysis and risk assessments, which are relevant keywords in our scope of work that I went over earlier. So now I know who has the most past performance, specifically related to my industrial hygiene contract for this opportunity. And they have the most past performance by a wide margin. So to Brian's point, or to the question that he said, I'll read it to you guys, is that NAICS codes can be widely misused by agencies. How reliable is this in truly vetting partners? NAICS codes are often very subjective in how they are applied by the government. How else are you vetting outside of NAICS codes? So there's several things. Leslie answered, the NAICS and PSC code combination is really powerful. So the product service codes are PSCs, and it is an what is it? A very similar sorting process to the
Yeah,
NAICS.
it's a separate system that actually goes more granular with the product codes, and when combined with the NAICS, you actually have an additional way of sorting through things. And so then you add keywords, and we have a special formula for our agentic system to go ahead and sift through all of that to figure out what may be relevant. Now, you don't have a lot of descriptions out there publicly, but when combined with all of the other steps we're not even talking about that the system will do and that we're building, then you're going to have a really high level of precision to know what is highly relevant.
Yep. So then we got it done. And again, we asked the bid assistant, okay, what do I do next? Alessia, do you want to take over for this?
Absolutely. And I see
Nope.
your screen very small, like I see us twice in the screen. I'm not sure why it's happening.
Oh, that's in the Teams. So if you go to
Okay.
the presentation, it's one of the weird things about presenter mode in Teams.
Okay. All right. So I think I can see it better now. All right. So the Dave asked our bid assistant, the company who has won the most work related to this opportunity is ATI and Dyna. The JV is comprised of two companies, ATI and Dyna. Now that I know who has the most past performance, what do you suggest I do next from the competitive analysis and teaming perspectives? And our bid assistant, after properly complimenting you for a great question, because it has to tell you nice things, right? So it tells you to go and dig deeper into their past performance patterns. And this is something that we're automating in our system, right? But it tells you to look at how they performed on similar programs to understand their approach in any recurring strengths or weaknesses, conduct a blind spots analysis, identify areas where they consistently make the same mistakes or seem to have illusions about their capabilities. These are the things they don't seem to see about themselves that you might be able to exploit. And this is just pointing out to you guys, as you remember, we talked about the blind spots analysis. Our system is programmed and knows about how to do a lot of those things, and it can walk you through that process. It also tells you to understand their pricing and research the labor costs for you. Determine how far below the addressable budget you need to be completely to bid to be effective, right? So next screen, please, Dave. It then also tells you to factor in the differences, compare their past contracts requirements, contract types, and evaluation criteria against the current opportunity, and adjust your analysis based on any differences you find. Again, this is something that's on the roadmap to be automated in our system. And then from a teaming perspective, it tells you to evaluate whether to pursue them or compete against them, right? So since ATI and Dyna is a joint venture of two companies, see if one of them may be unhappy, right? So if they're open to a different teaming arrangement with you, and assess whether teaming with them or one of their components would amplify your solution through their credentials and past performance. Now, it's a low chance, however, it's not a non-zero chance, and that, things have happened in the past where like we have a client, for example, where they came into a joint venture and actually joint venture with another member of the joint venture when they weren't happy and took over a really large $150 million contract. Now, if you decide to compete against them, you want to build your own team, look for teammates, and make sure you account for your teaming partners' work share and roles in the competitive analysis. So this is something, again, that our system is it's only immediate roadmap for automation, and you're going to have the exact analysis of where your gaps are, how the teammates can fill them, and how the competitors and their teammates, for example, would also work out in all of that equation. I mean, it actually takes weeks to do that properly manually. The system automates that and turns it into an hour
Yeah.
of work.
And Ellen asked a great question. She said, with the assembly of a detailed understanding of your likely competitors, as you have demonstrated, can you confirm it's a solid approach to revisit the bid interest / win probability assessment reflective of this insight? So that's a great question. Absolutely. I mean, every piece of information is now needs to feed into our win probability analysis. And one of the things that we are developing in March is that automated P-win analysis based on this, or at least part of this. This will be a factor. So the question, I think, for us, and this goes back to the human part that Alessia was talking about a few slides ago, was they may not be bidding. They may be the best company. They may have the most past performance. They may not know about this opportunity. They may not be bidding. And one of these companies may bid with you as not as the joint venture because the joint venture is doing other stuff and they have other priorities. So there's a lot of unknowns until we start verifying things. So at the same time, this company is potentially, or these companies are potentially really good teammates and potentially really strong competitors until we start figuring out and working that human angle. Can we build the relationship? Can we craft a compelling value proposition to team? Like, hey, I have a great workup of insight exactly into this, what this customer wants, the pricing, the labor rate, on the ground boots. Would you like to be on my team? I need X scope. I need the air quality sampling because I think you guys would be better at that than we are because you have better past performance. And together we would be unbeatable. So that's the type of human value proposition that we need to say to our partners, our potential partners. Having done all of this research, it's very easy to go in and flatter them about the amazing work that they've been doing and get them excited to work with you. It continues on with what to do next, and we're kind of running out of time here. So what I'm going to leave you guys with on the slides here is a long list of these questions here. So, Lesia, could you quickly summarize what these buckets are?
Absolutely. Yeah. So those are the strategy task lists I'll give to you, right? So this is a way of looking at the general questions of competitive analysis, but also when you are defending incumbent or you're an attacking newcomer trying to take the work away from incumbent. As you can see, these questions are complex. AI can automate a lot of that. AI can assist with a lot of that, but also there's a lot of that is your job. You're going to be improved with AI assistance, going to actually shift your work towards higher value tasks. And a lot of these are higher value questions. A lot of them require your participation, but your job is going to change. You're going to become better at what you do because now you have the basics taken care of and a really clear direction, really clear reminder, and AI to hold your hand through this process. So this is what we're building in, this kind of intelligence that we're building in, this kind of a rigor that Dave and I have developed over the years. I mean, we've been doing it for the top government contractors for many, many years, like the likes of Lockheed, Raytheon, General Dynamics, Northrop, and more. And so this is something that's a discipline that is being built in. Go ahead, Dave.
Great. So real quick, before we go over this slide, we have another webinar that we just pushed out through OST's newsletter about win strategy, hot buttons, win themes, and things like that. Would love to see you guys there. So if you haven't seen that, I think that went out on yesterday. So make sure to sign up for that too. So we are all of the functionality that we've been talking about, and we have a release date of February 27th. We currently have 25 companies signed up, and companies for you guys who will sign up before the end of the month, we are offering significant discounts and special offers for the first year licensing costs. And there's a choice of package, which is option 1, the platform for a year, and also apprenticeship licenses. We're the only one in the nation that has a Department of Labor Certified Business Development Apprenticeship Program. It's 310 hours of the best business development training available. Option 2 includes a lower number of licenses and none of that training, but it is a lower price point. And everyone that signs up with us becomes a design partner with white glove implementation and influence the features priority on our roadmap. You can visit Win More BD AI to learn more and schedule a demo and subscribe to our newsletter list. So somebody asked what the subscription and licensing costs are. This is going to go live as a recording. I don't want to put that information out there for competitive analysis because there are a lot of AI competitors that are out there. So if you just want to shoot me an
None of them
email
are
afterwards.
doing true capture like we are, but they're dabbling in it, and we really don't want to put that out there as a public thing.
So just reach out to me and we can talk about it. I'm happy to show you what we're doing. And then these slides will be available after we close out here. Give us a couple hours to process the video and get the slides sent out to everybody. So with that, any questions, guys, that you guys would like to talk about in general?
And by the way, I put the link to our website in the chat, so you can just click on that. So the slide 28, by the way, somebody's asking, may we have slide, Tommy, may we have slide 28? Yeah, I mean, we're gonna provide these slides in the recording to you guys, so you can have that and use that for your pursuits. Colin, thank you so much. Sai as well. Thank you.
Yeah, so one thing that we didn't really talk about the incumbent part is one of the critical pieces to uncover, particularly from capturing a BD standpoint, when you're defending an incumbency, is fear. What could break down? What could go wrong if somebody came in and took over this program that didn't know what they were doing? So like when I run these facilitated sessions, I'm always like, hey, I'm a Army grunt. Like, what would I break if I took over, right? And a lot of times that gets the subject matter experts, the program people, to brag a little bit. And now we start hearing, instead of, oh, well, I've been doing it for 20 years, so it's easy. Now all of a sudden it's, well, this, you would screw this up and you would screw this up and you screw this up. And now you can really start fleshing out some of those ghosting things. If a new incumbent came in or a new company came in, these are the things they would break, or these are the things that are complicated. These are the things that are underappreciated because our team is so great. So there's a lot of these things that fit together back with Win Strategy, and we're going to go over that in detail, just like we did today, and I think in 2 weeks. So if you guys haven't signed up for that, please do, and hope to see you guys there. So I don't have any more questions. I really appreciate everybody coming, and as always, stay tuned. We got a lot of cool webinars going out for upcoming opportunities. So next week, Bill Shallak, the president of OST, is pushing out the top 6 contracts for 2026. So if you are not subscribed, or if you're not signed up for that, come to that too, because we're going to look ahead to see what are the what are the big opportunities. Army Maps being back from the dead has been a big shock to me. I'm looking forward to going to the industry day. So if you guys are around, I hope to see you guys there. And yeah, with that, that's everything that's going on. So appreciate it, guys. Appreciate all the kind words and the comments. And feel free to reach out to us here. That's my cell phone. That's Alessia's cell phone. This is our email addresses. So feel free to reach out. Appreciate it, everybody. Stay warm. Watch out for the snowstorms this week. And if you're in the DMV area.
If you're in DC area.
Stay warm, stay safe. See you guys.
All right.
Have a great week. See ya.